Hello all, I am Rajshekar Reddy. Today I am going to walk through how to implement a chatbot for a financial wealth management company. So the client is Leap Square. They approached us for a solution around how to keep the clients engaged. So, just to give you a little brief about what is Sleep Square, they are a wealth management company. They handle personalized financial planning, tailored strategy based on income, goals, and risk appetite, investment guidelines, helps in selecting the right investment options, stock, mutual fund, real estate, etc. They handle the risk management and wealth protection, identifies risk and suggestion insurance or other protective measures, retirement and tax planning. So they ensure a secure retirement with a structured saving and tax efficient strategy. So this is a overall, information or brief about the company called Leap Square. So what they wanted, as a requirement, they wanted a solution for client interaction 24 bar 7. So whoever comes on and visits their website, the client should be able to interact throughout the 24 bar 7, and their basic queries should be answered, and if there is any information, any useful information, it should be shared whenever the client asks for any information. And the solution should be scalable. What it means is it should be available, and then at any point of time, any number of users, they should be able to kind of interact. So what is the solution we proposed is chatbot. So the chatbot, what it means is it's going to be available for 24 by 7, provides instant financial advice anytime without human intervention, and quick and efficient responses, answers common financial queries in seconds, improving user experience, improves user engagement, encourages visitors to interact, leading to higher retention on the website, and reduces customer support cost. As you know, if there is a human being 24 bar 7, you can imagine the kind of cost it's going to incur on the company. So we wanted to ensure that is taken care. So they get automated repetitive queries, reduce the need for dedicated support staff. So technology is able to address that. Okay, and also what we kind of are going to provide is personalized financial assistance, uses AI to provide tailored advice based on user queries, enhances decision making, offer investment insights, tax saving tips, and financial planning guidance. Scalable solution can handle multiple users at once, unlike human advisors. Okay, and then seamless integration with other services, can be linked to investment tools, calculators, and financial dashboards. So this is the overall chatbot. Of course, we may not give them everything at one go. So, but we are going to kind of implement phases. So first we are going to integrate the AI as a chatbot to their website, and then that rest of the features are going to be incrementally implemented. Yeah. So that's the overall solution what we are going to implement for this client. Okay. So what are the tech stack and free APIs? That's the AI APIs. So the backend we are going to use Java Springboot, front end HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and chatbot API Cohere.com. They provide free APIs. Of course, you can use ChatGPT. There are plenty of solutions, but for this, to make it more simple and easy for a learning purpose, we are going to use this Cohere, which is a free at the moment. So you can use this LLMs. Okay, and database optional. This you can take it as an exercise. Where you will have MySQL or NoSQL. This is basically to store the chat history, so that over a period, as and when you can kind of learn what are the common queries, and then you can optimize your solutions and things like that. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. So what you have to do is, first thing is you have to install Spring Boot using Spring initializers. Okay, so and then you ensure you're going to select the dependency Spring Web and REST controller. and you're going to create a new application, and then you're going to configure the application.properties for API integrations. So the assumption is you are already aware of Springboot, Java, and things like that, which we are not going to cover in depth, but we are going to kind of show how to create those APIs, and then what is the application.properties and things like that, what are the dependencies, all those things we are going to. So we assume you have some understanding about Java and Spring Boot. Okay, so Java and Spring Boot basics is not in the scope of this project, but our overall intention is how to create a simple chatbot so that whenever user ask any queries, you will be able to get the required information using the AI. Okay, how do you integrate Cohere API in the Spring Boot? You have to go and register cohere.com with very simple steps. It will ask for an email ID, and then you need to have that API key and add that as an endpoint in the Spring Boot. And you should use REST API or web client to send user messages to Cohere API, and then process the response whenever the Cohere will process your query, and then it will return you back the reply. Okay, so I've just kind of give you a gist of the code. So this is basically a controller. At the bare minimum, you will have the controller and services, but of course you will have a data and things like that, which will anyway see that when we actually do the coding. But at a high level, what we are going to do is we are going to expose a post API, which chat, and then we are going to take the message from the client, and then we will check whether if it is empty. If it is empty, then we are going to say it's a bad request. Otherwise, what we are going to do is we are going to call the get chat response, which is a service, and then what happens is we will have a chatbot service, and then here what we are going to do is we are going to have the API URLs for the Cohere this one, and then you're going to have your API keys. So whatever you kind of get it from Cohere, replace those keys here, and then what we are going to do is we are going to construct the whole HTTP headers, and then we are going to construct all the request body. We are going to kind of using the template, so we are going to add all this one. So the model, what we are going to, as of today, we are going to use command-r-0.8-2024. So we are going to use the model here. This is a model for our queries, and then we are going to kind of give a preamble prompt. So this is of course an optional preamble. You can give more details here so that your response is much better. Well, we are coding, I will show you how this works. But of course, even if you don't give this, you get a response, but I've given a little more preamble parameter, which I will explain when we are implementing that, what it actually means. And then if you have this string, if you don't have this, how the response comes, everything. But this is a bare minimum. I'm trying to give you a very bare minimum scaffolding coding so that you can kind of get an overall view of how the chatbot works, how the response from the UI to the backend to the AI provider like Cohere or Open API or ChatGPT, how it works. That is the intention. It's not to kind of give you every step or every this one, but to give you overall view of how this solution works. Okay, so what we are given is a preamble. You are a command, a brilliant, sophisticated AI assistant chatbot trained to assist human users by providing thorough responses. You are powered by command, a large language model built by the company Cohere. So this is what we have added. So of course you can tweak this, play around this, and that is going to be an kind of exercise for you guys. Yeah, and once the whole thing is constructed, we are going to kind of construct that using the REST template, and then we are going to give the API URL, and then we are going to say whether it's a post, get, so in our case it is post, and then we are going to kind of, once the response is there, we get the body, and then if there is any error, we are going to kind of print it out. Okay, this is just for a debugging purpose, the system.out.println. So otherwise, since how it works in Java Springboot, so we are kind of ensuring that if there is any issues with the response, we are capturing it. Okay. And then we are going to kind of have a front end where we are going to have a very simple basic text and a button. When you click on that, it will call the send message, which is on the JavaScript side. And what actually the send message will do is it will collect the user input, that's the text, and then it will call the API, and then it will call the post, it will say what it is, and then it will kind of construct the JSON, and then it will wait, and then it's going to print it on the screen. So you kind of got an overview. There is a Java Springboot which exposes an API, and then there is a Cohere API integration. So whatever text comes from the UI, it goes there, and then it kind of fetches you the results. Okay, and yeah, so what we are going to do is we are going to do a testing, and then of course this is all for your exercise, but we are going to do it as a local host. So we are going to run it in our local machines, but of course as a second step for the clients, generally you run the Springboot application, and then you kind of test it, everything, and then you deploy it on the cloud services. You can use AWS, Azure, or free hosting like Render. Deploy the front end on a hosting service, Netlify, Vercel, or whatever, whether if you have bought a domain. So, but in our case, for the Leap Square, since the client has their own dedicated server, so what we are going to run, we are going to do the Java Spring Boot. We are going to run it on the jar on the server, and on the client website, we are going to integrate the chat box. Okay, but for the purpose of learning, we are not going to implement that everything on the client side, because considering it's a confidentiality, but we are going to do it as a local host with a web page where it will have a text and then send, where you can send that text, the query, or whatever the user types, and then you will get back the response. Yeah, and what you can do as a future enhancement for the solution: store the chat history in a database, implement authentication for user specific response, or you want to collect the user email ID and things like that, so that you have the data and then you can call them back. And of course you can, the UI is unlimited, so it means whatever you want to do, the UI UX is up to you. So but we are going to implement a very basic UI. Yeah, and with that, I think let's get to the coding. Yeah, so that is more interesting for all of us. Okay, so the next video we are going to see hands-on coding, usually the Spring Boot, and then Cohere registration, and then how simple UI, and then we are going to call the APIs. Yeah, okay, so see you in the next session. Yeah, thank you.